Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive. And today we are going all the way back to 1997
Oh, wow.
with Don Miguel Ruiz and The Four Agreements, a book that's, I think, really kind of become a modern classic in the self-help world.
Yeah.
And we're going to go beyond the surface today. I think, you know, I think a lot of people are familiar with the basic ideas.
I think so.
But we're going to really explore the deeper psychology.
That's right.
And how these agreements can really transform the way you interact with the world.
One of the things that I think is so interesting about this book
Yeah.
is that he doesn't just give us these agreements as just these rules that we should follow blindly. He dives into the why, the ancient Toltec wisdom that underpins them. And that's one of the things that I love about it.
Talk about self-discovery.
Right.
The book was inspired by his own near-death experience. Exactly. So it makes you wonder, you know, what kind of wake-up call does it take to really examine the way we live our lives?
That's the question.
Right.
Yeah, and it makes you think about that, right?
Right.
What is it that we need to really shake us up sometimes?
Yeah.
And for him, it was that near-death experience.
Right.
It definitely adds a layer of depth and urgency to his message. He's not theorizing.
Yeah.
He's speaking from this place of personal transformation.
Right.
And I think what's remarkable is that he takes these really complex ideas about spirituality and boils them down to these simple, actionable steps.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's unpack these four agreements.
Yes.
Starting with the first one.
Okay.
Be impeccable with your word. Now, on the surface, this seems pretty straightforward.
Right.
Speak with integrity, choose your words carefully.
Yeah.
But he goes deeper than that.
He does.
Right? Suggesting that our words
have a real power.
They do.
Shape reality.
It's more than just being nice, right?
Yeah.
It's about understanding the impact that your words have, not just on other people, but on yourself, on your own subconscious mind.
Yeah.
Think about how many times you've repeated negative self-talk to yourself and you reinforce these limiting beliefs.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like casting spells with your words, both positive and negative.
Right.
And being impeccable with your word is about recognizing that power and using it responsibly.
Right.
It's about making sure that your words are aligned with your intentions and choosing to create a positive reality for yourself and for the people around you.
It makes me think of, you know, there's this whole concept of nonviolent communication.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Which is about, you know, expressing yourself honestly, but also being mindful of
how your words impact other people.
Exactly.
I think that really ties into this idea of being impeccable with your word.
It's about creating a space for empathy and understanding.
Yeah.
Even when you're having difficult conversations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Agreement number 2.
Okay.
Don't take anything personally. This is the one I struggle with the most.
I think this is a common one, yeah.
Right. So easy to get caught up in other people's opinions.
Right.
Let their negativity affect my mood.
Yeah.
But how do you actually achieve that?
That's a great question. And I think it's important to remember that this agreement isn't about suppressing your emotions or pretending that you don't care.
Right.
It's about understanding that other people's actions and words often stem from their own stuff.
Yeah.
Like their own insecurities, their own beliefs, their own experiences, right?
Yeah. So it's like realizing that their behavior is more a reflection of them than of you.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing we all have
our baggage, right?
Yeah, internal battles and projections.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's about building a stronger sense of self where your worth isn't based on what other people think of you.
Yeah.
And I know this is easier said than done.
Right.
Like our brains are wired to seek approval and avoid rejection.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
But when you can consciously choose to not take things personally, you free yourself from all of this unnecessary emotional baggage.
It's like you're taking control of your own emotional well-being. Instead of letting external factors dictate your mood, you're choosing to respond from a place of
inner peace.
Yeah, now it's your peace.
And stability.
Right.
Which is not easy to do.
Right.
But we can work towards it.
It's something to strive for.
Yeah.
Okay. Agreement number 3.
Okay.
Don't make assumptions. I feel like we all make assumptions.
We do. It's human nature, right?
Right.
Our brains are constantly trying to make sense of the world around us.
Yeah.
And making assumptions is a way of trying to fill in those gaps.
Right.
Like, what do we not know?
Yeah.
Okay, let me try to create a story to figure this out.
And he really emphasizes that assumptions are often relationship killers.
They are.
I've had my fair share of that.
That's a good time. Yeah.
And it's interesting because our assumptions are often driven by those
our biases.
Biases, right.
Yeah.
Mental shortcuts our brains use to process information quickly.
Right, exactly.
But they can lead to errors in judgment.
Big time.
Especially when it comes to interpreting other people's behavior.
When it comes to people?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's when we tend to jump to conclusions.
Right.
Yeah.
So we need to be more aware of these biases and challenge our assumptions before jumping to conclusions. It's about asking questions, seeking clarification, being willing to see things
from other perspectives.
From multiple perspectives.
Yeah, because yours isn't the only one.
Right.
And we get so stuck in our own little world, in our own viewpoint.
Right. So it's about cultivating curiosity and replacing judgment with understanding.
Yes.
And this goes back to the idea of being impeccable with our word.
Right.
Because if you're
communicating clearly and directly, you're minimizing the need for assumptions in the first place.
Right, exactly. Okay, agreement number 4.
All right.
Always do your best.
Now, at first glance, I think this one can
cause a lot of anxiety for people.
Yeah, like a recipe for pressure and burnout.
Yes.
But he really clarifies.
He does.
That your best is not about.
It's not about perfection.
Perfection.
Yeah.
You're pushing yourself.
It's not about pushing yourself beyond your limits.
Beyond your limits.
Yeah, it's about showing up fully in each moment and giving whatever you're doing your full attention and effort.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is where
self-compassion comes in.
Self-compassion comes in.
Yeah, because your best is going to look different every day.
Totally.
Right. It's going to look different from hour to hour.
Yeah.
Some days your best is going to be tackling a huge project.
Right.
Other days it's going to be taking a nap.
Right.
The key is to be present.
And engaged in whatever you're doing. Without judgment.
Right.
Self-criticism.
So it's about accepting yourself.
Accepting yourself.
Wherever you are.
Wherever you are on your journey.
On your journey.
Acknowledging your limitations.
Right.
And celebrating your progress.
Right. And I think this
also aligns with the whole idea of a growth mindset.
Absolutely.
Where we're viewing challenges as
opportunities.
Opportunities for learning and development.
Yeah. Instead of as threats.
Right. Yeah. Right. And I think
and when we strive to do our best.
Yeah.
Even in those small things.
Yeah.
It helps us to build momentum.
Yeah.
And develop that sense of self-efficacy.
Right.
And to recognize that even those small efforts. Can have a ripple effect.
Right.
Creating positive change.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love how he uses these really powerful quotes in the book to capture
the essence of these agreements.
He's a poet at heart.
Right.
Yeah.
One that really resonated with me is don't take anything personally. What others say and do is a projection of their own reality.
Right.
It's such a powerful reminder.
It is.
That you don't have to carry weight.
You don't have to carry other people's baggage.
Of other people's baggage.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's about
recognizing
freeing yourself from the need to please everyone.
Yes.
Right.
You can't please everyone.
You can't, and recognizing you can't control how others perceive you.
Right.
What you can control
is how you choose to react.
That's
it.
Right.
That's your power.
Right.
Yeah.
It makes me think about how
internalize negative feedback. Even if it's not well-intentioned or constructive.
Right. Even if it's
even accurate.
Yeah, and that's where don't make assumptions comes in, right?
Right.
Before you take something personally, ask yourself, is this feedback based on facts? Or is this just their perception of me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
It is about learning how to discern between feedback that's helpful and feedback that's just someone's own stuff.
Right. Yeah.
It's about...
Yeah, it leads to another great quote in the book.
Oh, yeah.
Which is, find the courage to ask questions.
Okay.
And express what you really want.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's about...
It's about being assertive.
Assertive.
Setting boundaries.
And not being afraid to...
Speak your truth.
Speak your truth.
Yes.
Right.
And it's also about being willing to listen to other people with an open mind and really trying to understand their perspective.
Yeah.
Even if you don't agree with it.
Even if you don't agree with it.
Yeah.
And that takes effort.
It does.
Right.
It takes effort and attention with an open mind.
Because sometimes we just want to be right.
Yeah, you want to be right.
Yeah, and it takes effort to say, okay, I want to understand where you're coming from.
Right. Yeah. And that ties back into always do your best.
Right.
It does.
Yeah.
Because effective communication
takes effort.
Effort.
It's a practice.
Right.
Yeah, it's not always easy to express yourself clearly.
Especially when
things are heated.
Right, when emotions are high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's about
choosing to show up.
Choosing to show up.
In those conversations.
Yeah.
With presence and compassion.
Okay.
Even when it's hard.
Yeah, even when it's hard.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about how we can put these into practice.
Yeah, let's get practical.
In our daily lives because,
Right, because they sound great in theory.
They sound great in theory.
Right.
But what about when we're stressed or triggered? Or
when we're exhausted.
Yeah. How do we avoid falling back into
how do we not revert to our old ways?
Patterns of thinking and behaving.
It's about developing self-awareness.
Okay.
And developing the ability to catch yourself.
Right.
When you're about to break an agreement.
Right.
Like if you can notice, oh, I'm about to say something that's not really aligned with being impeccable with my word.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like developing a mental muscle.
It is, yeah.
The more we practice these agreements, you have to practice it.
The stronger that muscle becomes.
It becomes.
Right. Yeah.
And it's not about being perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. It's about
beating yourself up.
Right. When we mess up.
That's what.
Because we all do.
Right.
Yeah. We're all going to mess up.
Right.
But it's about recognizing.
Right.
Okay, I made a mistake.
Yeah.
Now I have an opportunity to choose again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's about making
conscious choices.
Conscious choices that align with the agreements.
That's it.
Yeah.
Even if it's just...
Yeah. Even if it's just baby steps.
Baby steps.
Yeah. Right. One step at a time.
One step at a time.
Yeah.
And he gives us some practical tips to help us along the way.
Yeah. So let's dive into those.
Okay. Starting with how we can monitor our speech.
Okay.
To become more impeccable.
Yeah. How do we actually...
With our words. Do this.
Right.
One simple, the powerful technique.
Okay.
Is to pause before you speak. Yeah. Take a breath.
Okay.
And ask yourself,
okay,
are the words I'm about to say?
And I think that can...
And they can have a huge impact on your communication. On your communication.
Yeah.
It's
like you're radiating that peace and kindness outward.
Right.
Yeah. Creating a more harmonious environment.
Yeah.
For yourself and the people around you.
Now, when it comes to don't take anything personally.
Yeah.
One of the most effective techniques that I've read about is practicing emotional detachment.
Emotional detachment.
Right.
Which sounds a little weird.
It sounds a little cool, right.
But it's not about not feeling your emotions. It's about being present with them.
Okay.
Without getting
swept away by them.
Yeah.
Right. So when someone says something to you that triggers you, where they do something that upsets you, just try to observe that emotional reaction without judgment.
Yeah.
Notice the sensations in your body. Notice the thoughts that are coming up.
Yeah.
Notice that urge
to
react defensively.
Yeah, that urge to
lash out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're creating that space.
You're between the stimulus and your response.
Yeah.
Allowing you to choose.
Allowing you to choose
a more mindful way
of reacting. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think in that space.
And in that space.
You can remind yourself that their behavior is probably not about you.
Right. Right.
It's about them.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's about
their
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that can help you to cultivate compassion.
Right.
Both for yourself and for the other person.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what about those pesky assumptions that can really
wreak havoc
on your relationship?
Relationships.
How do we
how do we break free?
Stop doing that.
It all comes down to clarifying.
Yeah.
If you're not sure why someone is behaving a certain way,
right.
Don't assume, ask questions.
Right.
Be willing to listen to their perspective.
Be open.
Be open.
Yeah.
Yeah, be curious.
Curious.
Yeah, not judgmental.
Judgmental.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's amazing how much conflict we can avoid by just communicating clearly and directly.
Right.
Yeah. And I think we create so many stories in our heads based on our assumptions.
Right.
Yeah.
And those stories can really spiral out of control.
Out of control. Right. Yeah, and create all sorts of
drama.
Drama and heartache and,
unnecessary suffering.
Unnecessary suffering.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So clarifying assumptions is not just about...
It's not just about your relationships.
Your relationships. It's also about...
It's about your own...
protecting your...
mental health.
Emotional well-being.
Emotional well-being.
Yeah. Okay. Now, when it comes to always do your best, one helpful practice is to incorporate daily reflection.
Daily reflection?
Into your routine.
Yeah, I love that.
Right.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, just take a few minutes.
Yeah, take a few minutes to check in with yourself.
Yeah.
How did I do today?
Yeah.
Did I live in alignment with these agreements?
Right, and were there any slip-ups?
Were there any slip-ups?
Right, how could you?
What can I learn from those?
Differently, and I think it's a great way to build self-awareness. Self-awareness, and to really and to track your progress. Right. It's not about beating yourself up. Beating yourself up over. It's about saying, okay, how can I do better tomorrow? Yeah. And remembering your best.
Yeah, and remembering your best will vary.
Vary, right.
From day to day.
Some days you're going to be...
Some days you'll be firing on all cylinders.
And
other days you'll be...
struggling.
You might struggle to get out of bed.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It's about giving yourself...
Yeah, giving yourself grace on those.
Yeah, and practice self-compassion.
Right, yeah. And I think by consistently striving to live by these agreements, even imperfectly. Yeah, we can gradually shift our minds. And create a more peaceful and fulfilling life.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's like he's giving us this roadmap to personal freedom.
Yeah, totally.
A way to break free.
A way to break free from those
patterns.
That are keeping you stuck.
That keep us stuck, right? And I love how he talks about this idea of domestication.
Oh, yeah, the domestication.
Right.
Yeah. So he's saying...
From a young age, we're essentially domesticated by society to conform to certain beliefs and behaviors.
Right. So we're handed this rule book.
Yeah, it's like a rule book. How to live. Yeah. And we
don't even...
rarely stop.
Question it.
Yeah.
Right? We just blindly follow them.
Blindly follow them. Often at the expense...
of our own...
happiness and well-being. Yeah, and I love how he says...
And he says that those beliefs that we internalize can become like cages.
Right, they
limiting our potential. Preventing us from fully expressing ourselves.
Right.
Yeah.
And so the 4 agreements are like a way to break free.
Is a way to break free from that cage.
From those cages.
Yeah.
To reclaim your power.
And
create a life.
That is truly your own. Yes, a life that is aligned with your values.
Right.
And your dreams.
Powerful way to put it.
It's not just about improving your relationships or being more productive.
Right.
It's about a fundamental shift in how you see yourself and the world.
Right. Yeah.
It's about waking up from that dream of domestication.
Yeah, and stepping into a reality.
And stepping into your own reality.
Right. You're the author of your own life.
Where you get to decide.
Yeah, but I imagine it's not always easy.
It's not always easy.
To live by these agreements, especially in the beginning. Right.
There are going to be times when you fall back.
Yeah, we're going to slip up.
Into old patterns.
Right. We're going to fall back into those old patterns of thinking and behaving.
Right. But it's a process.
It's about recognizing.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's a reason why he calls them agreements and not suggestions.
Right, right.
It takes a commitment.
Yeah, it takes effort.
To actually do this work.
Yeah, and gently guiding ourselves back.
Yeah, gently guiding yourself back.
To those agreements.
Right. Yeah. So it's like...
It's like developing a new muscle. Yeah, use it.
Use it or...
Got practice, lose it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and even if you stumble.
Which you will.
Yeah, we will remember that every moment is a fresh start.
It's a new
opportunity.
To choose again.
Yeah, it's almost like a dance, isn't it?
I love that.
You take 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
Yeah.
But with each step,
But with each step...
But you're learning.
You're learning, growing.
And the music keeps playing.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Right.
And the music keeps playing.
Inviting you to keep moving, to keep evolving.
And what happens is, as you do that, as you become more impeccable with your word, as you detach from taking things personally, as you stop making assumptions, as you consistently do your best, you start to experience a shift within yourself. What does it feel like? Yeah, well, for a lot of people, it feels like peace. It feels like joy.
Right.
There's less drama in their lives, less conflict, less stress and anxiety. Because they're not carrying the weight of other people's opinions or their own self-judgment.
Right. Their relationships improve.
Yeah, their relationships improve because they're communicating.
And communicating.
More clearly,
more
authentically.
Yeah.
So it's like a ripple effect.
It is. Where one
positive change leads to another.
Where one positive change leads to another.
Yeah. It creates this more...
It's like you're creating this positive feedback loop.
Right. This more harmonious and fulfilling...
where your thoughts and your words and your actions are all aligned with your highest good.
Now, I know there are some...
who criticize this book for being overly simplistic or even naive.
Yeah, and I get it.
Right.
I understand where they're coming from.
Yeah.
The world is a complex place.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And people are messy.
Yeah.
And things are not always black and white.
Right.
But I think it's important to remember that this book is meant to be accessible.
Yeah.
He's intentionally presenting these ideas in a way that anyone can understand.
Yeah, and very straightforward.
And not everyone wants to read a dense philosophical treatise.
Right.
We need
those
all
fix
guidelines to cut through the
noise.
Noise.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's also worth...
And I think it's also worth...
considering the cultural context.
The cultural context in which the book which it was written.
Yeah. In a world that feels increasingly chaotic and uncertain.
These agreements offer a sense of grounding.
Grounding and stability. Right. They give us a framework.
They provide a framework
of navigating
the complexities of life.
Right.
Yeah. With a little bit more grace.
Yeah. And ease, how it reminds us.
Man, while some people might find it too simple, I think that simplicity is its strength. It cuts through the noise.
Right.
And it offers us this...
It's like a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, this clear guidance for living a better life.
Right. Yeah.
In a world
that feels...
It
feels overly complicated and overwhelming.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that we have the power to choose.
It is. It's a reminder that we have the power to choose
how we respond.
To the world. Regardless of the circumstances.
Right. And
while the agreements might seem...
they might seem simple. Putting them into practice.
This can be tough.
Can be tough.
It requires...
ongoing
awareness
and
a willingness
to really look at yourself,
your own beliefs and behaviors.
Right.
It's not always easy to let go of those old patterns.
You let go of those old patterns.
Right.
It's not
a quick fix. It's a journey.
Or a magic bullet.
It's a lifelong journey of growth and transformation.
And sometimes
that journey
can feel uncomfortable.
Right.
Yeah.
We might have to confront.
You might have to confront
parts of yourself that you've been avoiding.
We've been avoiding.
Right.
We might have to challenge beliefs.
Challenge those beliefs.
Yeah.
That have been holding you back.
That have been holding us back.
Yeah.
And step outside.
Like
your comfort zone.
Your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's in those moments of discomfort. That we often experience the most growth. And as Don Miguel Ruiz says, freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by surrendering who you think you are for who you really are.
That's such a
it's
powerful quote.
Letting go.
Yeah. It really speaks to that.
Of those limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
And embracing your true self.
Yeah. Courage to let go of those limiting beliefs.
Even if it means challenging the status quo or stepping away from what's familiar.
And to embrace your true self.
Yeah.
Even if it means, rocking the boat.
Rocking the boat.
Or challenging the status quo.
Yeah, and recognizing that true freedom comes not from outside circumstance.
Right. It comes from within.
It comes from within. Yeah. From the choices you make and the beliefs you hold.
And the 4 agreements offers a path.
It offers a path to that inner freedom.
That inner freedom.
Yeah.
Well said. I think we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
Exploring these 4 agreements in depth.
We have,
and discussing how we can put them into practice in our lives.
A cultural impact, the criticism.
Yeah, we've talked about the cultural impact.
And how we can apply them.
And how we can apply them to our lives.
And I think what's really come through is the
power of these agreements.
Enduring power of these simple.
Simple yet profound agreements. Profound agreements.
To transform our lives.
Right. And now it's time to turn the spotlight.
Turn the spotlight on the listeners, our listeners. Yeah. If you had to choose just one of these 4 agreements to really focus on for a week, which one would it be and why?
That's a great question.
What speaks to you most?
It's like choosing a superpower.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Each agreement offers you a different way to kind of shift your perspective and interact with the world.
I know. For me, it would be don't make assumptions. My mind loves to fill in those blanks.
I hear that. Yeah.
Create stories.
Yeah. Our brains are wired for pattern recognition.
Not very happy ones.
Yeah.
Right.
But sometimes those patterns lead us astray.
Yeah.
So focusing on clarifying your assumptions is a powerful choice.
Right.
It encourages you to pause, to seek information, to communicate.
And be more open.
More openly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about
choosing curiosity.
Choosing curiosity over judgment.
Over judgment, yeah.
Replacing those knee-jerk reactions.
Replacing those
with a mindful approach.
Yeah. And what I think is interesting.
Then, what's so fascinating is that by focusing on one of these agreements, you'll often find that it spills over into the others. So if you're not making assumptions, you're more likely to be impeccable with your word.
Yeah. Because
you're avoiding those misunderstandings.
Right. It's like they're all intertwined, supporting and reinforcing each other.
Work together.
And I think what resonates with me about this book is that it doesn't offer a quick fix.
A quick fix. Or some
magic formula.
Magical formula for happiness.
Yeah.
It's
a journey.
A journey of self-discovery.
It's a practice.
Well, lifelong practice of making conscious choices.
But making conscious choices.
Right.
And that's the beauty of it. It empowers you.
Yeah, it's in fact responsibility.
It reminds us that we have the power
for your own
to choose how we respond
good for world
and well-being
regardless of our circumstances.
Yeah, it reminds you.
We've explored the profound wisdom of the 4 agreements today. We've delved into the psychology
of the application.
I hope you've learned something new about these agreements.
It's been a really fascinating conversation.
Yeah.
And now, it's time to hear from you.
Yeah.
Which agreement would you choose to focus on and why?
Mm.
Head over to our social media pages and share your thoughts.
Yeah.
Let's keep this conversation going.
Remember,
until next time.
The journey of personal growth.
Keep those minds curious. Keep those hearts open. And keep diving deep into the knowledge that sets your soul on fire.
In this together.
See, yeah.